10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to SEGA Live, number 12, as we have been trying to bring you live content talking about the great drag racing of the Southeast Gas Association. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. Over there, the voice of SEGA, David Lancaster. And we are going to be breaking down what went down in the Rumble and Ringgold there at Brainerd Motorsports Park. Race number 4 on the season. David, you were not able to be there, but I know you were tuned into the live stream. Thank you for suffering through that. I appreciate it, but I know that you thought the action on track was certainly spectacular. We had a great race for the Rumble.
Yeah, and certainly bummed out that I didn't get there. Brainerd's a great racing facility, and the crowd was what really surprised me. With the thought and the threat of inclement weather, they showed up, man, and we've always drawn good crowds at Brainerd, and the racetrack facility is good, and the racing proved that out.
It certainly did, and yes, thank you to the fans there at Brainerd Motorsports Park. Friday, it got us. We got maybe 10 pairs down the track, and then there was some type of mechanical failure that put fluid on the track, and that cleanup transpired, and like 2 more pairs went down, and the rain rolled in with immense lightning. There was lightning all around the track. So a good storm rolled through and killed Friday night, but Saturday was a beautiful day, especially once qualifying began. It was nice and sunny, it was warm, and we had a great day of drag racing. So the fans that came out, they were able to enjoy a great show, great drag racing action put on by the Southeast Gas Association competitors, and they got their money's worth. So yeah, don't always believe what the weatherman says. Sometimes you just got to go and see what happens, especially in the Southeast during summer when scattered is just that, scattered showers.
Very much so. And, congrats on the live feed. I mean, I noticed every time I looked, there's about 200 people on the live feed catching some action. The chat in the live boxes were really, really popping. Some people anticipating coming to some other races, and thankful for the live feed that they got to see, and myself as well.
Well, we are certainly glad for everybody that tuned in, and it's going to continue to improve as well. So all of the technical difficulties were on my shoulders. I've got to say the team, as far as camera work, Chris Barrett with Frankenstein Garage, and then Dujnay Bland with Not Bland Show, they did some very good work, and being really rookies at this camera work in a live type of situation, they did a really good job. So many of you heard through a lot of the live stream, a lot of the chatter in the tower. Well, just take that you got a behind the scenes glimpse of how busy it is actually in a tower drag race, but got that figured out. You shouldn't have to hear that anymore for a SEGA live stream, and better audio to come as well. I think I've got that figured out. So yes, we'll be live coming up at Jackson. We'll be live also coming up for Knoxville. We'll be live, for the rest of the year. And SEGA intends to be live wherever we may go with SEGA action.
I know that'll be big for the fans and big for the promoters of their events as well. If we decide to come back to those venues in subsequent years, it'll help draw more fans.
It will. Hey, someone who certainly knows how to draw fans, Raul Torres, is in the comment section. Hello, Raul. Hope things are going well. And yes, we support you in getting that NHRA national event down there at South Georgia Motorsports Park. We want to see it
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. It certainly would be awesome. Hey, if you have that NHRA national event, talk to them and maybe swing in some SEGA exhibition runs for the crowd from South Georgia Motorsports Park. That would be spectacular. So thank you for watching, Roll. We appreciate it. What a great race we had at SGMP earlier to kick off the SEGA season. Well, we are going to have Rob Walden on, who won in Superstock, hopefully in just a few minutes. I see him in the green room, but we haven't seen his face yet. We don't know if he's got this all worked out. Rocky Platt is trying to help him out, so hopefully we'll have Rob in just a few moments, and we can chat with him. David, look, when I think of Southeast Gas Association, Rob is one of those guys I think has just been there like forever. I mean, he has been a longtime competitor in the Southeast Gas Association, but he's done it in another class or two, not Superstock. And we're about to talk to him as a Superstock winner.
Yeah, and it's exciting because, you know, he ran B gas and A gas with the 33 Willis. That was a identical copy of his father's car. And, you know, decided he wanted to go another route and brought out a beautiful, beautiful piece that he has here. And it's going to be interesting to get his feedback on why he chose that car. And I pretty much know, but I want him to tell our fans about that and the history, if they don't know, of his father, Mr. 409 Lamar Walden.
It's going to be a great chat. He is certainly heavily involved in the Southeast Gas Association, even beyond a win in Superstock at Brainerd Motorsports Park. So after this break, we're going to have Rob Walden on and chat all things SEGA with this great competitor in the Southeast Gas Association.
Harbin's Mechanical serves Atlanta, Georgia and its metro area. From the big jobs downtown to the jobs in your hometown of the suburbs, they are your #1 source for your HVAC and refrigeration needs in Atlanta and its metro area. Stay cool in Hotlanta with Harbin's Mechanical Services.
And now with us live, Rob Walden. Look at that cup next to him right there in that office. Look at that thing.
Big as my head over here.
Well, Rob, man, look, good to have you. Congratulations on the win, and we're certainly going to talk about that. But let's bring everybody up to speed that may not be familiar with you, and let's talk about that family history. Give us the 411 on your dad, the involvement with the 409s, and all the way up to now in SEGA competition.
Well, he started out racing 409s. He bought one new and raced it and enjoyed them. And you know, then the newer stuff came out, big blocks, small blocks. He got into Pro Stock, drove the Barry Setzer Pro Stock Vega, and then he drove for Jerome Bradford after he retired that car. Then he ended up retiring altogether. And he stayed out of it for a few years to, you know, raise a family and do some stuff like that. And then he kind of got the itch and started going to some Super Chevy events and seeing some guys running 409s out there. And he's like, those cars are really slow. We need to get out there and show them how these motors really run and how good they are. And then his hobby kind of turned into a business. We started making heads and pistons and cams, and now, I mean, it's a big part of our business is the 409s. We still build small blocks, big blocks, a little bit of everything. Drag race, tractor pull, mud racing, boats, a little bit of everything. So.
And Rob, having had the pleasure of visiting your shop down there a couple of times in the Metro Atlanta area, you guys, I mean, it is a turnkey facility. You could come in there with nothing and you can do everything all the way down to a chassis dyno.
Yeah, we are the oldest shop in Atlanta that I know of. And we have full shop here. Everything's done in-house. We don't send anything out. We have a chassis dyno, engine dyno. We have CNC machines. We have the latest Rottler hone, balancing, surfacing. I mean, we can do everything you need, you know, turnkey, and we do it all here in-house in Atlanta.
And Rob, in doing that, and you talked about how a large part of your business was still the 409s, the legacy that you guys have, you being the second generation and Robbie, third generation driver now, how does that really play into the business model that you have there?
Well, I mean, the 409s are a huge part. I mean, we just sent one to California. We got one going to Texas here now that I got to get on the dyno and run. The name, I mean, we have people, call up, and Rocky Platt does work for me. And he answers the phone and tries to help me out where I don't have to talk to so many people on the phone. And they're all like, I want to talk to Rob still, so, but he still filters out people and really helps me out a lot here when he's not working for SEGA. And, most people still want to talk to me, just like when I answered the phone before my dad passed away, they want to talk to Lamar, because they think I'm going to tell them something that they won't tell them,
That's understandable. Talk to the man. Talk to the man. Rob, the phrase, the name associated with your hot rods, Strick Nine, where does that come from? How did that develop? Very interesting. I love how it plays on 409 and everything. Very interesting.
Yeah. I was looking for a name for the Willis when I was building it. My dad didn't really have a name for his car. Back in the day, it just said R.L. Walden Racing on the side of it. And then SEGA, everybody seems to have a name for their car. So I was just kind of coming up with something. And Strick Nine, is kind of has the 9 in the end of it. So I just kind of changed it from Strick 9 to Strick 09 for the 409, because the 409s, a lot of people just call them 09 motor. They leave the 4 off anyway. So they're like, oh, you got an 09 in that? Oh yeah. So that's kind of where I came up with it. Just sitting around thinking about it. And I have a friend that actually has a car, a 62 car, and he calls it Strick 9, but he's wrote it out with the NINE at the end of it. So I figured I'd be a little different. I didn't want it to be just like his. So.
All right. And go ahead, David.
I was just going to say, Rob, and in building this Superstock car that you just took to victory lane, can you give our fans some background on why you chose that car and what that car means to you and the history of that car?
Well, when I built this car, I was looking to build a 62 because my dad always liked 62s, and that's what he raced. And the 63s were Z11 cars. I couldn't find a good 62 chassis, and I called up my old buddy Dirtman, and he had this car and another car. So I ended up buying both the cars from him that he'd previously raced, and we took 2 cars and made one good car out of both of them. And 62, 63, they looked the same, and I painted it up with the 409 flags on the side like my dad had, and he called that car the 409 Revenge because the 409 was kind of it was the first generation big block. So it kind of got dumped in the corner as a boat anchor and dump truck motor after the Mark IV came out. So, that's why we kind of called it the 409 Revenge, because it comes out and outruns big blocks and small blocks and stuff like that. So that was kind of how he got that number. And then on my Willis, I had little pictures of some rats and mouse, and I called it the Mouse and Rat Killer because Strychnine is a poison. So that's kind of where that kind of play on words came from.
Why this switch? As we can see the Willis up on the screen, from AGAS with the Willis to Superstock. And I know some of the story, even dive into us with aerodynamics and a gasser, like going into a wind tunnel type of things.
Yeah, I mean, the Willis, when I built the car originally, I was so excited because it was a copy of my dad's car, and it looks good. And I mean, I still have people come up to me today like, oh man, why'd you quit racing it? The short wheelbase, the extreme power we're making, the car just kind of became unstable, and you never really knew what it was going to do and when it was going to do it. And, I've been in pro mods. I've drove about any kind of car there is and never really been scared of anything as far as driving it. And that car scared me a couple times last year. And I said, I'm getting older. I got to go to work on Mondays. I might want to back up a little bit. So that's when I thought about dropping the car to B gas, and it built a motor. And then I kind of got the idea, like, I'm just going to finish out the season in A gas. And then I ran, talked to Dirtman and made a deal on the 2 cars and started getting those built and so I could bring them out the first of the season. And I also think, the money in SEGA is no biggie there. I mean, everybody's going to spend money in racing it. So if you can't afford to race, you should stay home. But as far as with the 409, I have to make all the pieces by hand. I make my own pistons. It takes me about 6 months to get a cam made. We made our own heads, everything out of there. I made my own injector for it. And I only had one set of heads to work with, where you can go buy a big block Chevy. Basically, you can go to Summit and get anything that you need for a big block, small block. So I was kind of limited, and I'd kind of peaked the motor out. And as far as I know of, I mean, we are known for the world's fastest 409s. Right now, that car, the last time it went down the track, it was the fastest naturally aspirated car out there running a 409. So it was just kind of limited on supply of engine pieces. And I got to thinking with Super Stock, which we used to run before we won a championship in '94 with Super Stock and NMCA. It kind of evens the playing field because everybody has to run a dual plane intake. Everybody has to run a spec, like an Eldebrock head or a 23-degree small block head. So it kind of evened the playing field for a 409. I get a little better weight break than some of the other motors do, but it still is a dump truck motor. So, there's not a lot, you still have to work around that.
That was what's so impressive to me when I did get to visit down there, Rob, is how you do, and you have the ability to hand make everything. And doing that, I mean, I know necessity brings that out, but is there any little tricks of the trade that your dad passed along to you that you can divulge in this interview type thing to tell our fans of how you come about it?
Well, he made his own head, which they won't allow me to run in Super Stock. But, as far as most of the power is made in the cam on the 409 and the head design, it takes a special cam. You don't cam it like you would a small block or big block. Matter of fact, when I got back on Monday, you don't win a race by leaving the car in the trailer. On Monday, I got back and I've already been on the phone with, John Partridge from Bullet Cam, and I was on the phone with Gary Williams carburetors. He's working on me another carburetor already, and we got another cam already on the way. We're doing some rear suspension work on the car because really I haven't done anything to the back of the car as far as suspension bushings and stuff like that. It's just the way I got it from Dirtman. I've only been working on it from the doors forward, just trying to keep it together because we had a little bit of issue with the stock blocks, which 409 blocks are not known for being the strongest blocks. They're all a 2-bolt main. So I told them, you're allowed to run an aftermarket block in Super Stock, but nobody makes an aluminum block. A cast iron block. They only make aluminum blocks. So I had to kind of go in there, and I started out with stock blocks. And by the time I broke 2 of them, I told them, I'm like, I can't afford to keep breaking blocks and not be able to race. I said, we got to talk about this somehow. So we discussed it, and we had a meeting, and all the guys at Super Stock, I talked to Jerry Dean about it. Jerry Dean was like, I think you should be allowed. So we went in and had a little meeting, and everybody had some questions and stuff. And we came up with, okay, you can run it, but you got to add an extra 50 pounds for the aluminum block. And I'm like, okay, if I can keep it together, that's good. So, this was our 4th race, but 2 of the races I didn't get to compete in because I broke on Friday night. And, I heard Lee say somebody oiled the track down on Friday night before the rain. And that unfortunately was me at this race again, but it wasn't the motor. The motor stayed together. We broke a drive shaft, and broke the third member and the drive shaft and the transmission. So we had to drive all the way back to Atlanta. I met my son halfway. He went home, got the spare drive shaft, brought it to us, met us. We worked up to 2 a.m, got the transmission fixed by Roby the next morning, put it back in, and came back and won the race. So that made it worth all the hard work we put in Friday night with all the help I had from all my friends and stuff that helped.
And that is your first win in Southeast Gassers overall and in Superstock, correct?
Yeah, officially, we won 5 races before AFX was considered a true class. So we had our own little class and championship going there, and we won the championship last year in that. But, you know, it didn't count because it wasn't official SEGA. We were just doing it as exhibition. But now this year it's good, and I think I'm in second in AFX right now. So see if we can move on up there and knock my customer Todd out of the championship up there so far.
It's got to be.
While you mention AFX, let's talk about that just for a few moments before we dive in like round by round on the win there at Brainerd Motorsports Park. You know, you are in an iconic car and Rocky's doing his thing and you're driving it. Your son's out there as well in another hot rod. I mean, there's a lot of things going on with AFX and the Walden. So why that? How did that work out? And what's the differences between an A-gas car, a B-gas car, an AFX, or in a Superstock?
Well, it's a big difference in driving them. I know that. Last year, the Willis is a 180 car from driving Dixie Twister. The Superstock and Dixie drive about the same. They're big. They kind of float down the track. Dixie's a little faster, definitely faster. And, you know, we were the first to break into the 5s with that car. Rocky's dad worked for my dad back in, you know, the 60s, and they knew each other, and I knew Rocky as a kid. And then, you know, he went on to do things. I stayed here. And then when he started back racing, he had some issues with the car, you know, with motor wise. He needed a new motor. And also he came to me and we built the motor and got him. He won a whole lot of races with the car. And then when he started helping Quayne, it got to be a lot of work, you know, trying to drive the car, try to help SEGA. So he asked me, he's like, hey, you want to drive the car? I'm like, yeah, I'll drive it. So I've been driving it for the last couple of years, just to help him out, you know, because he can't run the organization and race at the same time. It's just too much work. So, which it is a lot of work to get out of one car into the other. I mean, I jumped out of the Dixie Twister there second round, had to get right into mine. They already had it up in the staging lanes waiting on me, and you know, so they run pretty close to each other, but it can be done. So.
On Saturday, going into race day, you being the culprit that pretty much shut down Friday night, you're done all this work.
Sorry,
you're ready
guys.
to go. Oh, it's okay. It happens, man. You're ready to go. Did you think a win was going to be there at the end of the day, especially with the stranglehold that Jerry Dean has right now on Superstock?
I woke up and I was wore out from being up all night, and I was just, you know, hoping everything was going to stay together because the drive shaft actually came out of Robbie's green 61 B-gas car, and, you know, Roby fixed my spare transmission, and we get going, and Jerry Dean goes out there and rolls off number 1 qualifier. I think he ran 40s something. I don't remember exactly what it was. And you know, we went out and ran good. We ended up number 2 qualifier with like a 70. I mean, I still got to speed the car up a lot to be, you know, Jerry Dean up there. I mean, he's the man. He's the king of the bunch right now. So, you know, but everybody wants to knock him off the throne, and I want to be the one to knock him off the throne, you know. And I'm going to work at it and keep going. But no, I mean, I know the car was running good, and I figured, you know, if we got lucky, our second real race out that we got to race, I was like, you know, it'd be good to get a runner up. That'd be awesome, you know. And then to come up there and be able to beat him, you know, I was like, holy cow. I got to the end. I'm like going down through there and I can see him over in the other lane. And, you know, he's running. I mean, we're door to door right there. And I'm just looking over at the light like, holy cow, can I get there? Because I knew I kind of got out on him a little bit in mid track. And when I seen that light come on, I'm like, holy cow, I just won. I just beat him, you know. But they're the two nicest people, him and Karen. They you know, they work hard on that car. They work on it probably harder than anybody in SEGA as far as working on cars, and you know, they've been well deserved for what they've done, you know. But and Jerry told me, he's like, I want you to run good because I want to have, you know, I want to look good and put on good show for the fans out there, you know. And the other guys are coming on. I was surprised. I was like, you know, last year it was a pretty good difference in the thing, but at this last race we had Brian Dalton, I believe he ran in the 70s, and Cody oh, it just slipped my mind.
Royals. Royals.
Cody, I mean, he ran awesome. I mean, his dad run good, but Cody set that car on fire. You know, I was actually stressing running him because I'm like, yeah, he's running good. So I mean, there's, you know, the competition has definitely you know, everybody's stepping up to run in the class, and I think it's one of the most exciting classes because there's a lot more limitations to it. A-gas, you know, there's limitations and rules, but it's kind of, you know, unlimited, you know, what you can do to the cars and what you can do there, where this takes a lot of, you know, ingenuity to try to make all this stock stuff work. I mean, we have to run stock suspension. There's no ladder bars and straight axle under these. I mean, I got stock A-arms in the front and stock A-arms, trailing arms and all in the back. And, it takes a lot to get it to hook to the track. It's a fine line, leaving the line from bogging to blowing the tire off. So car was working pretty good for us up there, and like I say, we lucked out and beat Jerry, and you know, it was all luck. Jerry's car is faster right now, but we're gonna keep working on ours and get there so that it's, you know, a true heads up race once we get there.
Well, that smile really says it all that you have on your face there. It was a big grind for you, as you documented earlier, but I want to congratulate you on that super stock win. And there it is again. That smile just says it all.
Yeah. And all those guys in that picture, they're the ones that worked hard all night long to help me. While I was gone, Jason, my truck was trapped in the hook to the trailer. I couldn't get it out because I was trapped in the parking area there. So Jason drove me back to Atlanta and met Cody, and then the other guys there, they were here while I was riding, taking the rear end and transmission, all that stuff out, and they had the rear end back in the car by the time I got back with the drive shaft. So then we got Roby there the next morning at 8 o'clock. He was out there, you know, fixing my transmission so I could get it back in since they moved the schedule up earlier. So it kind of really put a rush on things. Like, we got to get it fixed because we're starting early.
And what a testament to G-Force Transmissions and Roby Myrick and what he brings to the Southeast Gassers. I mean, you know, not a sponsor who just likes to walk around in high hand. He gets his hands in there, like you said, at 8 o'clock in the morning, getting things done for his clients.
Yep. Roby, I think we would have a lot more people sitting on the sidelines if Roby wasn't there, because I know the track was really working, and I think several transmissions got broke up there that weekend. So he was down there busy all day long fixing and changing. And then, you know, if you say, hey, Roby, you know, what do you think? Can we make the car a little bit faster if we change this gear? He's like, I don't know. Let's try it. And he'll just whip out a bunch of gears and start throwing them in there. And next thing you know, you got a different transmission to go try, you know? So, you know, he is definitely very, very helpful.
Rob, before we let you go, do want to ask you, who did the painting and lettering on your hot rod? It looks like something straight from 1960 something, and it is beautiful.
Yeah, the car was already white. I put a whole new front clip on it when I got it from Dirtman. I put a new front end on it and everything, and I had a local guy paint it. But our buddy Chaston, he is the one that came up. I showed him some pictures of my dad's car and everything, but he came up with the Strick Nine lettering back there and laid it all out. And yes, he hit the mark. I mean, when I left him at my house one morning, he came up, spent the night, and I left him in my garage working all day. And I come home from work, and I'm like just blown away by how awesome of a job he did on the car. It is total 60s look. I put the split wheels on it. I got the aluminum front and the steel back wheels. I just tried to make the car look period correct, but yet run modern day times,
Well, man, you did it. You accomplished it. It is really a good looking hot rod, and certainly, I don't know. Does SEGA have a best looking car award, David? Do we hand those out every now and then? No,
we haven't ever done a best appearing car award, but definitely that would have to be right up there because, as the head man said himself, I mean, it is the perfect look for a pre-67 super stock car. It really is.
Yes. Yeah, it's got the look, but it's not perfect by no means. There's some better looking cars out there, better paint jobs, but as far as the layout and look on the pictures and all, it definitely photographs well.
And Rob, and what a great testament to your father as well. I can just tell the first time I met you, how much your father's influence on you. You've been continuing this business and his legacy, and you got more generations to come in that. And we wish you all the success in the world down there at Lamar Walden Automotive.
I appreciate it. We'll see you over in Jackson. I can't wait to get over there. We're going to try some more stuff, see if we can make it 2 in a row. That way they can put a bounty on me. So
there you go. There you go. Well, Rob, before you do go, how can people contact you? How can people follow the engine shop and the work down there? Or maybe you got enough. You don't want nobody calling you. I don't know.
we're covered up, but we're on Facebook, Lamar Walden Automotive. We have a website, lwaengines.com. I also have the SEGA Strick Nine super stock car on Facebook, and then I'm on Facebook myself, just Rob Walden. So, we're just here in Atlanta, and I mean, we're on. If you Google 409s or shops in Atlanta, it pops up pretty on the top there.
All right, Rob. Look, thank you for your time. Congratulations on the win, and I am one that I'm shocked at, like first SEGA in competition, not exhibition win.
Yeah.
Well, when I think SEGA, you're right up there with all those competitors. And congratulations, marking this one off, man.
We went out on a high note last year, I guess, with the Willis. We ended up runner up to Leslie, so we did good with the car and everything with that one. But it just, like I say, AGAS outgrew the car, so we decided to try something new, and I'm enjoying it as much or more. It's slower, but it's still just as much fun.
Rob, man, congratulations. Don't drink too much out of the cup, okay?
All right. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Folks, Rob Walden, your winner in Superstock, snapping Jerry Dean's stranglehold that he has had on the class winning-wise. Certainly, we are looking forward to Jackson, and keep your eye on that class when we get there and the battle that is happening. I do like how Rob did mention concerning Superstock, David, that the competitors in that class, it may be taking some time, but they are inching closer and closer and closer to Jerry. I know Bryant Dalton Sr., his little Falcon's running well, and others too. So in time, that Superstock class will be highly competitive.
And we're seeing more cars in our Superstock. They had a great number of cars entered down at Brainerd, and that's only going to make competition more healthy. And these guys are turning the wrenches at home. Like Rob said, he had to get it out on Monday. You can't win races letting it sit in the trailer.
Yes. Well, folks, I want you to know before we take this next break that Harbin's Mechanical Services, which has been a great partner in being the title sponsor of the races in Georgia, the season opener there at South Georgia Motorsports Park, and this most recent race at Brainerd Motorsports Park, they are hiring. So if you are in Atlanta or the metro Atlanta area and you have experience in the HVAC world, Harbin's Mechanical Services may very well be a place of employment for you. So just search Harbin's Mechanical Services, give them a call, and see that may very well be the right fit. They announced that over the PA there at Brainerd Motorsports Park. Harbin, thank you for your help in supporting the Southeast Gas Association, in particular the races in Georgia. And by the way, if you're going to build a super stocker or even an A-gas ride, whatever you do in the world of drag racing, even in the world of SEGA, Summit Racing Equipment has got what you need to get your car on the track or to it. Thank you, Summit.
Summit Racing Equipment. From the store, the catalog, or online, you can get your street rod, hot rod, personal ride, and even race car, including a Southeast Gassers Association ride, ready for action. Build with Summit Racing Equipment.
All right, David, as we come back, folks certainly will be chatting with other winners in episodes to come here on SEGA Live, but let's take time, break down the action that took place there at Brainerd Motorsports Park. You know, I was watching via overseeing the live stream. You were able to catch the live stream. And David, I think what I could tell from the reaction in the tower, watching the race, that we experienced at Brainerd Motorsports Park several firsts and a lot of upsets during that race.
Well, the one that stands out to me, and I almost mentioned it because I know he's worked to reconfigure his car, is the Tennessee Charlie and the B-Gas finals. You know, he took that car from a coupe to a fastback. Of course, he, you know, is a body man himself, but he always runs well. And we hadn't seen him out this year. And, you know, he's been grinding on that car. And, you know, he just doesn't show up unless he's got his ducks in a row. And that car right there really did a great job and put the pressure on Ken Rainwater. Rainwater had some mechanical gremlins, but all in all, a great points day for Rainwater. But he really lit it up in B-Gas right there and got another cup, as he has been in the Southeast Gassers for a few years now.
Yes, you know, I opened up the Victory Lane interview with him of just playing off of like, man, just introduce yourself. Who the heck are you? Because we have talked so often in this class about the Stotts, the Odins, the Rainwaters, the McKees, and rightly so. But here comes Charlie Lee out of Sparta, Tennessee, and, well, nabs a win and says, wait, hang on just a minute. There are other competitors in this class, and people can jump up and win, and it doesn't have to be just Rainwater, McKee, Odin, or Stott. And McKee went out early. What a big hit for him concerning B-Gas and the points chase. Rainwater goes on and has a good day. Odin goes out early, and Stott wasn't in the field. So, again, I think this race, you look back to it, and if at the end of the season, you know, Rainwater is hoisting a championship trophy and not just an event trophy, this might have been the downhill mark, if you will, to that point.
Very much so. You know, but Charlie Lee, no stranger to Victory Lane in the Southeast Gassers. He is a multiple-time winner. Just haven't seen him out this year because of the changes and the reconfiguration of the car. But like I said, every time he comes out, he is just razor sharp on the tree. You know, and he, just as Dwayne lets us know there, you know, he is someone that can cut a light. And, you know, the red lights caught him a couple of times too. But, you know, if you're not racing and pushing it to the max, you shouldn't even be out there in the Southeast Gassers, in my opinion, and especially in our gas classes. And it is very, very competitive. But when those guys show up, they usually got something for the field. But yes, to your point about Rainwater, great points day for him, even though he come up runner up. But with Ted McKee, falling behind in the points a little bit, he told me, he said, I was just eating a sandwich on the line right there and just got beat. Then Michael Oden having some clutch problems. He was down probably 15 miles an hour from what I was told off of his previous runs. So, but look at that points battle. 15 points back is still McKee, and another 10 points back of him is Michael Oden. And again, Briley Stott missing the race seems to be a big, big turning point. And it looks like maybe a 3-horse race as we come down to the end of the season in the second half.
Yes, it does appear to be that way. I do want to shout out Kelvin Cannon and him picking up that win, a big round win, and performing well. The competition certainly throughout the class stepping up here as the season continues to roll on. Hey, thanks to Angela and the team, the Tower team, already got points out, and we're able to look at the points battle in these classes. So thanks to the Tower team, certainly appreciate that. Congratulations to Charlie Lee BGAS with some great competition there at Brainerd Motorsports Park. We talked about Superstock with Rob Walden. Let's take a look at the points there. Obviously, Jerry Dean in Last Rebel 2 is ahead, and ahead by, let me do my math. That is
30 points.
30 points, yes, 30 points. Can't do math in my head. 30 points. Bryant Dalton Sr., I mean, he's keeping pace for sure. Needs Jerry to go out sooner and him have some good days, if not some wins. But you look at Rob Walden there, he's 100. So it's not done with for sure. But Jerry isn't quite to coasting, but he's definitely got to keep his foot on the pedal.
He definitely does. The great thing that I see is, the 2 through 5 right there, it could go, or 2 through 6 really, could go either way. I mean, you got Alan Lovelady in the underdog. He's a constant right there to knock anybody off. Don Wilmot, been with us for years, someone who doesn't seek a lot of attention. He's kind of a low-key guy, but he's sitting in there in the 4 slot. And, Bryant Dalton doing a great, great job in his Dalton Gang car, that beautiful Falcon. He has worked tirelessly to make gains. And Rob even mentioned some of those. And he finds himself in second place. And, second place to a man like Jerry Dean, and that is no slouch at all.
Certainly that is the case. Once again, congratulations to Rob Walden on his win in Superstock. AGAS, twists and turns there. I think, the quickest and fastest cars at a Southeast Gas Association event, certainly they have a ton of attention on them. And with the cast of characters that is in that class, such as Leslie Horn and the Schick Magnet and Greg Stelz in the Joker. Well, Barry Adler, as a rookie in the Southeast Gas Association, has definitely had a very quick maturation, and now a win in race 4. That car, the Iron Eagle, is certainly no plastic pigeon, as some like to say, because he went out there and nabbed a win early on in his rookie season and performing mechanically and driving-wise exceptionally well, and certainly right up there in the character department too.
Yes, I think he is having a great time in the Southeast Gassers, number one. Number two, he bought a quality product when he bought that 63 split window. And there's part of Barry's, humor in taking the helmet and making some decorations to it. But then he associated himself with Gene Fulton and, got the big block there. But here's one thing that most people don't know. Now, I reside here in Greer, South Carolina, and he has been frequenting Greer Dragway on Thursday nights. And, I tend to slide up there some after work on Thursday nights and check out, the local scene. And Barry's been up there quite frequently. And one of the guys who is a well-respected racer himself in the bracket forums, he told me, he said, "They better watch out for this guy right here." He said, "He's closing up on it." And he said, with a couple of little breaks, he said, he'll hoist a trophy. And there you go. There you see the spoils right there go to Barry Adler at Brainerd Motorsports Park.
That they do. And he did it over Chase Howard in the final. Chase Howard, another final round appearance, doing what he must do in the fight for a championship. And look, nothing against Leslie Horn, but right now I think I'm going to put my chips, if we had them, on Chase Howard actually win this championship. Chase he's hungry, and he's doing what he's got to do, and he's got the performance. This is the second race in a row that Leslie has not been the quickest and the fastest. Not that he's slow by any means, but not the quickest and the fastest. And he went out early. And I think right now the odds of Leslie slipping up, if he don't step up, they're growing. And I don't think that's the case with the likes of Chase right now.
Well, first off, I got to say, I am proud to say that young man is my cousin. He has really a tough work ethic. He's maybe not the most demonstrative person and outgoing person, but he is a quiet assassin. He is working in that shop weekly and daily. And he's got the likes of Scotty Cannon behind him, helping out with a lot of the tuning on the chassis as well as the motor. He's got a Gene Fulton motor now. Kind of feels like he's got a level playing field there. And I couldn't agree with you more. If things continue to go the way they're going, the smart money may be on Chase Howard for this championship this year.
Very well could be. Let's take a look at AGAS points. Atop is Leslie Horn with having a race win and two, and being to that point first. But as you can see, number-wise, it's tied. We're going into Jacksonville with AGAS tied atop the points board. That just shows you how competitive it is in the world of Southeast Gas Association drag racing, that the quickest and fastest have a tie at the top.
Well, that speaks to me, but I mean, look at Ben Christopher. He's 3 rounds behind the leaders, sitting there in third place. Greg Stelz, another round. So he's 4 rounds out of the championship battle right there. Barry Adler being 6 rounds out of it. The top 5 are separated by 6 rounds of competition. And you got to remember, when we get down there to Gulfport, Mississippi, we got a double race. We got a Friday night race and a Saturday night race, 2 separate events, back-to-back days. And if someone suffers something catastrophic on Friday, it could really knock this in the head. I mean, Ben Christopher, we've documented his tales. I mean, his bad luck, just crazy stuff happening to him, and he only finds himself 3 rounds out of the tie for the championship lead.
Absolutely, you are correct there. And if Ben goes and picks up a race win, which he is certainly due, and Leslie and Chase do not have the day that they are looking for, we're having a different discussion on another SEGA Live. And then you have those in the field that we certainly know can win and do get round wins. They may not be having the performance that they're accustomed to, but Kenneth Phillips can certainly put some need in someone's life for some Tums. And obviously Barry Lynn can do the same as well. And Alan Pittman and the Pittman and Sword gang, they're getting that car figured out. They looked really good at Brainerd.
You took the words right out of my mouth with Kenneth Phillips. I mean, this guy's a former champion in AGAS anyway, got the most wins in Southeast Gasser history. Maybe Leslie's close. I don't know. Maybe Todd Oden's close. But I know Kenneth is up there, especially for AGAS. But you're right. The Alan Pittman car could really throw a wrench into this championship battle. And you better not sleep on Barry Lynn. His numbers, again, he's at Greer Dragway. He's from Greer, South Carolina. He's testing. He's hungry. He's moving that big wagon down the racetrack.
That he is. Well, we'll move on. And I think the category that might have had the most eyeballs on it at Brainerd, and rightfully so, is Seagas. Ernie Smith, 100th consecutive SEGA start. And Ernie continued the theme that he has had already this year, and that he is real. He performed, did well in qualifying, and takes it all the way to the final round. And yet again, another runner-up finish for Mr. Saturday Night Special, Ernie Smith.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I regretted more than anything, missing this race. I really wanted to hand Ernie that 100th consecutive trophy. This guy, my respect, I just, he is a consummate worker and will help you work on yours. I mean, he's not conceited in any type of way, just a wonderful human being. And what makes us a family in the Southeast Gassers is a guy like this right here. I got to be honest with you. I know we're supposed to be impartial, but I was pulling for that Saturday Night Special to reach the stripe first. And I got a feeling that something's going to happen and he's going to break through with his second career win this year.
I have to completely agree with you, David. The performance is there. And after South Georgia Motorsports Park, we're there at Shadyside, and Ernie was emphatic that I went and worked on the driver, and you have seen it. So car and driver are there. And if we get to the end of 2025 and all he has had is our runner-ups, I will be completely shocked that is the case. And I certainly expect at least a win, if not a couple of wins with what we have left. I mean, he might be that guy that go down to Gulfport and get 2 in a row, and we have a breakthrough type of moment as we look toward the end of the season after the Gulfport race. But congratulations to Ernie on this accomplishment, to have the 100th consecutive start in a racing series that doesn't have 20 to 30 races a season. We're talking about, I think the most in a season has been 11. Is that correct, David?
Yes, that is correct.
Right. Okay, so 11, and other seasons have been 8. And then, like you've got this season, we're going to have a shorter season than we expected just due to cancellations and weather. I mean, poor Ernie thought that he was going to have this race at Mooresville, and thought he was going to have this race at that race, thought this race, and finally we get to it at Brainerd Motorsports Park, and he can celebrate this 100th, and we're celebrating along with him, and so glad that he had a good day. I was pulling for it too. Nothing against the winner, Jaron Purdue, but man, that would have been a great story to have a win in the 100. Maybe he'll get it in the 101. But kudos to Jaron Purdue as well, because Ernie's kind of had his number as announced. It was said that he's had some issues against Ernie, but Imano, the people that were tied going into this race atop the leaderboard in the final, Jaron Purdue wins it.
And Jaron Purdue, not saying anything, I want to give him all the credit in the world, but, again, bought a quality product, quality motor under the hood of Gene Fulton small block, got Quayne Scott working on the car there, helping him out. And then they have continued to go round after round and do well. And so, you got to give it to Purdue. He was the favorite right there against Ernie, and he took it home. And, but one of those two guys look very poised to possibly be our SEGAS champion this year. And again, I don't mean anything wrong toward Jaron, but just my heart, I'd love to crown Ernie Smith at that banquet in January as our SEGA champion. I really would. I don't think there's anybody that would have a dry eye if he won.
Well, we're certainly going to have a good battle for rest of the year, and I'll try to find the CGAS. Oh, there we go, CGAS points. Now on top by 5 points, Jaron Purdue. But as you can see, Ernie Smith is right there. But they have certainly bump draft their way, if you will, to a separation in points. Alfred Adams, 100, and then on down the list, 85, 85, 80. So certainly things can change. Certainly things can happen. But it looks like we've got a 2-horse race at this moment in SEGA points. And I know Todd Oden is certainly going to give it a run to win as many races as he can, but he needed a good Brainerd, and he didn't get it.
Yeah, that was a swing and a foul off. I don't think Todd felt like he had good contact there. But, you look down this list, and SEGAS, again, just quality and depth. We've got depth in this class. Diana Casto and her husband, Dana, they are absolutely testing like crazy, continuing to try to improve that quick draw car out of West Virginia. You can't take Jimmy Huff lightly, but look at Heath Adams in the Rusty Bullet. I mean, he's already catapulted up to 4th place. This guy's in his 2nd year, maybe a year and a half worth of competition here. And then you got a guy like, Randy Kiefer and Tim Hall, 2-time champ, lurking back there. Tim Hall running the limited schedule. Haven't talked to Tim, but if he shows up at a race in Gulfport and makes that trip down there, he could play spoiler in this whole thing.
Absolutely could. And we've got a good battle. And across the board, the competition in the Southeast Gas, look, it just proves that as much as I love drag racing in other segments, you don't have to have nitrous. You don't have to have a blower. You don't have to have all of these types of things. It can just be all straight up motor and have a good set of rules, even if they are strict, and you can have spectacular competition, motor to motor, driver to driver. And that's what we get in the Southeast Gas Association. We're certainly getting it into race 4, looking into now going to race 5 for the rest of this season. And we have got talking point after talking point, no matter the category. And David, I think one of the categories that might have got all shook up the most at Brainerd is HGAS. Was wild.
Really was. And a class, you want to, expounding on what you were talking about, putting the car and the driver, the combinations together, and it makes the Southeast Gassers so unique, so one-off, if you would. Colby Welch with a Pontiac and an Anglia, a Nash leading the points with a AMC motor in it, a Jeep motor in it. It's wonderful. And that class is, I think it's the one to watch right there.
A lot of people are certainly enjoying this class and they're gravitating towards it. I certainly hope we get more cars in the future. I hope in the future we see some competitors that are in other classes build a HGAS car and run it too, for the heck of it, for the fun of it, just to have a different combination. It'd be great to see. But people are talking about this class in its first championship season. And I think the shocker of that class, it's not so much Colby Welch coming out and winning again. We knew that he has got this combination worked out that is right now the top hot rod in HGAS, but Robert Frazier out early. Ouch.
Yeah, that's a big one. And, Robert Frazier made no bones about it. He wants a championship. He's hungry for a championship. But man, that was a stumble right there in Colby Welch continuing to just, pound rounds after coming out late. So this is going to make an interesting final second half of the season for us in the Southeast Gassers in all categories, but especially here in H-Gas.
As we take a look at the points, Robert Frazier is certainly ahead. Todd Hines had a great day in Old Corn Pop there at Brainerd Motorsports Park, making it all the way to the final, losing to Colby Welch. You can see Colby, with 2 wins in 2 races, is there with 70 points. So if he continues on this run, no telling what we might see by the time we get to Gulfport and beyond in this championship chase, and whoever else may be coming out to race as well, because you certainly do continue to hear about more cars being built to be contested in H-Gas. So we are going to have a highly competitive class on our hands, but I'm sure Robert wants that round back, and he's going to be working very hard with the upcoming races to make up for that round that he lost.
Very much so. And this, like I said, this goes for every category we have. Super stock, AFX, A-Gas, all the way, everyone we have. Where we are right now at the midpoint of the season, no one can take their foot off the accelerator, literally. I mean, because anything could happen. The depth and the quality of the cars that we have in every category can push you. And I mean, you know, you can't worry about mechanical failure. You can't worry about your shifter popping off in your hand. You know, I remember Ted McKee had that happen in his championship season. And he said he just had to grab the stick and keep ripping, you know. So this, I mean, if you love all-out drag racing, there's no bones about it. You got to be a Southeast Gasser fan. You do.
Yes, you do. If you say that you're not a fan of what SEGA's doing, I have to question if you're a fan of drag racing and motorsports at all. We can't be friends. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, there you go. It's definitely exciting, and I can't wait to get back behind the mic, as I'm going to be seeing everybody in Jackson, Tennessee coming up, and that race can't get here quick enough for me, you know. So I am awfully eager to get back out there, get with my family and the Southeast Gassers, because I've been missing all these relationships that I've, you know, cultivated over the years. I just love them to death.
Well, we're looking forward to you being back, and we are going to be up there to Jackson, Tennessee, almost to Memphis here soon enough for the first time ever. It's going to be a great visit. And before we do close out the show, we don't forget about AFX. They were in competition at Brainerd Motorsports Park, and kind of a weird day, especially at the end. Poor Jeffrey Ferguson. They have got Wild and Woolly 2 right. It looked like at Knoxville that he was the car that was going to win it, even after having a scrape with the wall. But he messed up a little bit concerning the driving duties, and Daniel Haynes goes on and wins the race. Well, here we are, final round. It is him, Todd Wimberly, and Jeffrey Ferguson does have the win light come on in his lane. But on technicality, he was unaware. But even if you're unaware, it doesn't matter. He didn't follow the rules. He went to his pit before going to where he could be teched, if you will. And he was disqualified from that win, handing Todd Wimberly the win in Southern Comfort. So, Jeffrey, sorry, man. We know you will never make that mistake again, and he's going to get a win in AFX here soon enough.
Yeah, that car's not going to slow down just because he didn't go over the scales. So the AFX, he's serving notice right there that you better come with your guns blazing in AFX, or he's going to take home a couple of more gold cups before we close out this 2025 season.
That is absolutely true. And to Todd Wimberly, I'm glad that you finally had a bottle of Southern Comfort, local Southern Comfort in Victory Lane. Thank you for that.
That's pretty neat to hear right there. The Wimberleys, you know, again, that is a class that we hear is more cars are coming. I know Gordon Rundle is working on a car. And if you've never experienced a Gordon Rundle car, it is first rate, and he'll have a chance to debut that hopefully soon. And this class is one that is exciting to say the least.
It is. And Randy Jensen brought out this hot rod, and I believe SEGA has seen this before, but it has been a while under a different owner. But he rolled it out, man. It sounded good, and I know they'll get it dialed in. But that screams AFX.
Yeah, it does. Robert Peffley built that car. Robert Peffley, a former Superstock world champion with us, and one of the guys who was the catalyst for starting the Superstock class and participating in the AFX class. This car made a couple of events with Peffley, and some life situations happened with Robert, and so he sold the car. And I'm glad to see it back out here in Southeast Gasser's competition, because it is, like you said, it screams altered A-gas. And so that's a beautiful car.
It is. Well, David, look, we had a spectacular event at Brainerd Motorsports Park, and it is certainly an event I think we're going to look back into the season, and it is going to be one that people are like, oh, some things that went down there affected certainly the totality of the season. So we wrapped up the Rumble in Ringgold, the Southern Nationals, presented by Harbin's Mechanical Services. And now we look ahead to Jackson Dragway, the Hub City Hullabaloo, presented by Don Baskin Truck Sales. Jackson, Tennessee is not too far from Memphis, Tennessee. They're on the northwest side of Tennessee, and it will be our first visit ever to Jackson Dragway, and first visit ever into that geographical region, from what I understand, for Southeast Gassers Association. Certainly, it's going to be a wild card in the right that, well, no one's really got a notebook for this track. No telling what we're going to get in Jackson. Tennessee.
Yeah, that's going to be the wild card right there, as you said. Nobody's ever been to this track in Southeast Gasser trim. Some competitors have raced here in other associations, and they might have a little bit of knowledge, but I think that's going to end at the GPS when they get to the racetrack, because nothing is like a Southeast Gasser car, nothing's like a Southeast Gasser event, and to navigate down Jackson Dragway may present a problem for some of our racers.
Very well could be the case there in Jackson. And hey, thanks to Mr. Baskins for all he's doing for the sport of drag racing. He bought Jackson Dragway. They've been making improvements. He just bought another dragway up the road, like River Road Dragway or something of that nature. So we might even have somewhere else to race for SEGA in the future, for all we know. But looking forward to paying Jackson, Tennessee at Jackson Dragway a visit, putting on the great racing that the Southeast Gassers Association does. And then we travel to home 2.0, it seems, Knoxville Dragway. They're on Old Rocky Top for Mountain Madness there in the month of September. A visit to Knoxville Dragway is always a great time. Mini Bristol, it is worth the time to pay it a visit. David, the last time we were there, you were not able to be there, and I was doing some work on the mic during downtime because we weren't streaming. There was a family that was from Hawaii visiting family in Tennessee. They worked around the family visitation and their vacation to make sure that they were able to see SEGA in person at Knoxville Dragway.
Wow, that is
just spectacular.
It really is. I mean, and it goes to show, the power of live stream and our social media outlets helping us get the word out to the world, really, because we've seen other people. We've seen people come from Japan, we've seen people from Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, in Great Britain, but now to find people making, what an airplane ride that must be from Hawaii. and to take the time to think about our schedule and planning their trip around that, it's humbling. It's very humbling to know that, and that is incredible.
It was, and they might have had the farthest award possibly. We did have some folks from the UK there as well, and we had folks from Connecticut and Jersey. There were so many that were from so many different parts of the world to experience Southeast Gasser Association drag racing there in Knoxville, Tennessee. It is worth the visit. So if you cannot make any events, that one may be very one to circle. And we don't quite have the artwork yet from the great man himself, Stephen Smith, that does all these great posters and promotions. And also, by the way, you can go to southeastgassergear.com and get your swag from Mr. Smith. But I'm looking forward to whatever he rolls out for the Deuce down there in Gulfport. And if you have got the availability, that's another one. With Cruising the Coast and everything going on SEGA down there in Mississippi, it is going to be a heck of a time. You might want to take 2 weeks vacation and enjoy it all. Beach, car shows, and SEGA drag racing. So look, this back half of the season, it's going to be lit.
It really is. I can't wait. My adrenaline's pumping already, but just getting to talk about it with you and Cruising the Coast. I mean, last year was my first experience with that. What an incredible event. You're going to see some magnificent hot rods. I really recommend you taking an extended weekend or maybe in a week's vacation. Paul Levine, I met him last year from Great Britain. He and his wife, they made the trip. And before, we were in Victory Circle last year, and they were saying, we are already planning to come back because of the combination of that. You know, and we saw our largest crowds in attendance there. And what else can you say about Britt Cummings and their family? What they do down there at that place is nothing short of remarkable.
You are absolutely true, David. Look, David, before we switch gears here on Southeast Gassers Association Live, G-Force Racing Transmissions, the official 4-speed of SEGA, and get out of here and close this live stream, anything else from yourself, the voice of SEGA?
Well, I think we've covered it. You know, the second half of the season is going to be electric. There's no let up anywhere in any of these racing categories. No one can let up. And that's the way, you know, that's the beauty of the way that this was built by Quayne Stott. It is to put the driver in control. Hey, you might have something go wrong. We got somebody over here with a spare part. We'll help you, but we may be racing you in the next round. But it is going to be some of the best racing that you'll ever see. And I'm poised to say that it may be the best racing collectively that we see at all of the events as we finish out 2025. I know Todd Oden is pushing hard. He is hungry to try to get back in that battle for C-Gas. Ken Rainwater is going to keep his foot on the throttle, trying to keep those guys at bay in B-Gas. And as we documented the A-Gas category, you know, you got 4 or 5 guys there. I mean, it's going to be something. Superstock's going to be great because Jerry Dean can't stop, you know, because they'll overtake him. And with the problems that they experienced this past time, I know Karen Mitchell has already had her wheels turning to get back to victory lane.
Yes, we have nothing but greatness to look forward to in SEGA drag racing. David, thank you for your time. Folks, I'm Lee Kraft, aka the Monday Morning Racer. Thank you for your time. Be sure, if you have not, hit the share button. We'll be back with SEGA Live. Plan is right now, even next week, and we'll continue to talk up Brainerd, the winners, and SEGA drag racing. Each and every one of you, God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.